Hey friends, this is Neon Black. I'm making a video today for our instructional series just to kind of showcase my daily routine for diving the chain. I just wanted to show what my process is for pushing the train and properly updating bookmarks and signatures for the corp. So this video is mainly for WiNGSPAN pilots, but if you are a wormhole diver, you might learn something as well. So here I am in Uhelia. I just logged in, and there's a couple things I'm going to do before even dropping probes. First and foremost is getting on TripWire. There's no reason not to be on TripWire whenever you're logged in and diving with WiNGSPAN. This is our strongest asset as a corp, and learning to develop a routine like this is essential for streamlining our operations. So you got TripWire open. A couple things first. You want to make sure you've got your auto mapper toggled as well as follow my in-game system. This way, when you're jumping through signatures through wormholes that you scan down, TripWire will automatically detect and update as you move along. So we've got TripWire open. I also like to have Discord running. I'm not necessarily on comms, but if I do find content, I'm already here ready to go, and I can get an idea of kind of who's around at the moment. Another thing I like to get going before I even start diving is to start a standing fleet. If you've been in WiNGSPAN for any amount of time, you've probably flown with Spelunkers Anonymous. It's just a standing fleet that I like to get going when I'm out there by myself, just diving a chain, looking for content, looking for deliveries. So the MOTD is blank at the moment. I kind of just made a preset fleet. And basically, once I find a hole that I decide is going to be the chain I'm going to be pushing, I will update my MOTD with a link to our TripWire, as well as in-game hyperlinks to any case-based chain connections. So I just get that up, go ahead and throw up an advert, set it open to the corporation, and boom. So we've got a standing fleet. We've got TripWire open. We're ready to start diving. So I'm going to go ahead and drop probes and look for a wormhole. Now, one quick tip that folks might not know is that signatures in normal K-space or most wormholes, signatures will only spawn within 4 AU of a celestial planet or the sun. So there's no need to spread my probes all the way out to 32 astronautical units. I can start at 8 and just know that half the diameter of my probes, 4 AU, if centered on a planet like so, the signature that seems to be near this planet will definitely get a hit with this first pass. And it looks like that signature despawned as I was trying to scan it down. Go figure. And we'll warp on over there and see what we've got.
Warp drive active.
All right, so it looks like it's a Z971, which I could reference on TripWire. I could input that wormhole ID and find out where it leads to, but a good thing to learn is to learn how to identify wormholes based on how they look. And I can tell just by looking at this and not actually knowing what a Z971 is that this is a C1 wormhole. And we have a resource on our TripWire, which is a wormhole identification tool. And I highly suggest using this as a reference for a couple of days while you're diving and just commit the 6 wormhole connections to memory. They each have very specific graphical differences, and you can very quickly learn how to differentiate between the 6 different wormhole connection types. Any wormholes that lead to any part of K-space will say so in the information. But if it's a K162 or if it's a K162, you're not going to be able to tell exactly where it goes unless you can differentiate the different wormhole types just based on how they look. I know this is a C1, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. It says it's beginning to decay, and it has had its stability reduced by ships, but not to a critical degree yet. Medium ships can pass through it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. That's a C1, DQY, and it's destabbed. When I save into wormholes, make sure it decays in 2 days. That way our comms officers don't have to clean up too much. Go ahead and save it. Now I'm going to update TripWire with the wormhole type as a Z971. Make sure we mark that it's destabilized. Go ahead and save it. We see that C1 DQY with the yellow line, meaning it's destabbed. I'm going to go ahead and get into splash range, remaining cloaked. And before I jump the hole, I'm going to double-click the saved location to open up an edit. And then I'm going to jump through. The reason I do this is so that when I end up on the other side, I can save the updated information of the bookmark on the other side without having to go back into my peoples and places and updating it from there. So we're in splash range. Let's go check it out. All right, so this C1 ends up in 655. And holding my cloak, I'm going to save our exit, high sec, hell yeah. There we go. Now, before I drop probes, I'm going to make sure to bounce around the system and get an idea using DScan of what's in the system before dropping probes. And one thing I like to do is, in this first warp off, to bounce across the system and check DScan, I'm going to create a save spot while I'm warping, and I create a safe in every wormhole that I go to in my own personal bookmarks. And it's just helpful to have a deep space in wormholes, but also I like to make a safe in every wormhole I go to just to keep tabs on different holes. In my own personal bookmark, I can edit the notes to include any details, and I can also reference it here with the notes box on TripWire. Looks like a potential generic bounty system, and we got some intel on what kind of citadels are in the system and who lives here. This info was updated by Tufel in 2019 and posted by Tufel and updated by Omar in 2020. So this is probably, let me go ahead and cloak up. This is probably pretty updated information, but I'm going to go ahead and warp across the system and get an idea of what's in here on DScan.
Warp drive active.
So create a safe in my own personal safe spots. And I like to submit it when I'm kind of like off DScan from other planets, so I have a deep safe. And now as I'm passing through the system, I'm just going to hit my DScan on my detailed DScan overview preset. And it looks like we got a bunch of citadels. Not seeing any ships, saw a couple of drones, and we'll just get a quick glimpse over here at planet 8 before we drop probes.
Warp drive active.
again, I like to spam dscan as I'm warping across the system, because somebody might have a bright idea like I did to hole up at a deep safe, and you won't be able to descan them from any of the Celestials. So, yeah, you know, always spam and descan. It looks like we got a Raitario and a POS stick over here. All right, so I haven't seen any ships on descan, so I'm going to go ahead and drop probes and start scanning down the system. And I like to do that while sitting on my entrance. That way I can listen for anybody coming into the system and actually have eyes on the one connection that I know. All right, so we're back on the entrance. I'll pull range and get to an area where I can cloak and jump out if need be. So I'm outside of decloak range. We'll go ahead and cloak up. I'm in splash range, and we'll start scanning down the system. And like I said before, I'll start off my scan at 8 AU because I know that the radius of my probes being 4 AU, that I will get a pass on both of the signatures that are over here by this planning. All right, so I can tell already that the signature we came in from here, this high sec, is going to be SYR. So I'll go ahead and update my bookmark. SYR. And then I'll go ahead and update it in TripWire as well. So SYR 786. SYR 786. There you go. All right, now I can start scanning down the rest of the system. All right, so we've scanned down all the signatures that we are interested in. I'm going to go ahead and pull probes. I like to save pirate relic and data sites into our operations 1 and make sure it decays in 2 days. Just so anybody else coming through the chain later has it already scanned down, or if I'm patrolling the chain later and come back through this area and somebody's running it, I don't have to scan it down again, and I just have something that I can work to. All right, so we've scanned them all down. I'm going to go ahead and copy all my signatures and paste them into TripWire. We've got 2 other wormholes. One of them is going to be our nullsec static, the Z060, and one is another that we're not quite sure of yet. I'm going to go ahead and bounce around. All right, our first wormhole is a K162. If we take a little bit of a closer look at it, I can tell you just by looking at it that this is a C3. Let's go ahead and check the info. Leads to unknown parts of space, beginning to decay, has not yet had its stability reduced, and medium ships can pass through it. Let's go ahead and save this as C3, OIB, and we don't know where it goes. Save that into our wormholes. There we go. Now we can carry on to the next one. Once I begin my warp, I'll go ahead and update TripWire. So OIB is a C3. And now you can set the signature in TripWire to know that it's going to a C3 by putting C3 into this leads to location in the signature information. And it shows that we know it goes to a C3, despite it being a K162. And as expected, our next hole is the nullsec static. Let's go ahead and check it for any decay or destabilization, and it doesn't seem to be destabbed or critical, so we'll save it as nullsec SRL, and we don't know where it goes. With that bookmark saved and the info gained, we can go ahead and input the type Z060 and save that. All right. So now that I've got all the bookmarks for all of the wormholes in this system, we can start jumping the connections. I like to check nullsec just because you never know. There might be somebody on the other side in a carrier running sites, and well, our high-sec connection is not too far from Amar, so I can get people here in no time. So let's go ahead and do like we did when we first came into the chain. We'll update. We'll open our nullsec bookmark, and we're in splash range. We can go ahead and decloak and jump into nullsec. And we'll input the nullsec location, XS TAC K10. And we can bookmark the exit hole, which is a C1. And actually, there's only one signature here, so we know that this is going to be RMH, and it leads to 655. Perfect. Now we can input the signature ID into TripWire, RMH722. RMH722. And there seems to be one other person in local we could quickly see. And it looks like he's in a confessor, or an Imperial Navy slicer named Confessor. Cheeky motherfucker. And I'm not interested in him, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump back through the hole. And you'll notice that because we updated the nullsec signature as being a Z060, TripWire automatically updated which hole we jumped through, because I told it to auto map our progress. So that's our nullsec. Let's head over to the C3 and pop our head in and see what's going on. And again, as before, let's open up an edit for the bookmark. And then we'll jump through and update our information. Now, actually, what I should probably do is, now that I know I've got a hole here and a chain that I might want to start diving, I'm going to go ahead and update the MOTD of my standing fleet, just so that, say there's something on the other side in this C3, people are ready to just join the fleet and figure out how to get to where I'm at. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the hyperlink to TripWire into my MOTD. And I will set a hyperlink also for the chain connection Euhelia. And save it. And there you go. Anybody who joins Fleet can just click the TripWire link and set their destination to Euhelia and be ready to go. So let's pop our head in and see what we got in here. This one leads to 329. Go ahead and save that, and let's save our exit. C1 655. And here we are in a new system, and the whole process, just rinse and repeat. I hope this video has been helpful. I might have forgotten something, but that's the basic gist of it. As I continue through this chain, if I find any other case-based connections, I'll link them in my Fleet MOTD. And yeah, I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and have fun out there.